Hello there, everybody. This is Alex from Hardcore Guys, bringing you my guide for X-Men Origins Wolverine on hard difficulty. Today we are doing Chapter 2 entitled The Frozen Tundra, and that segment is not going to come up until like after, let's say, I don't know, 20 minutes of this jungle stuff. It's another flashback segment, of course, and you gotta go through the jungle to get to that. So, anyway, starting off, you're gonna be fighting machete enemies once again, and just like last time I mentioned, and for those that might not have actually watched that video, pretty much when it comes to machete guys, parries are a huge advantage toward them. Also, for this video, and for other future videos, I'm just going to be fast forwarding through the Leviathan fights, and I know that like maybe somebody might not exactly know how to fight a Leviathan, but even though like this is the second video, I'm talking about like, maybe people skip the first episode or whatever, which can happen, of course, because it's a guide. That's just how they work. But honestly, I mean, you could probably still see kind of what I'm doing for the most part. It's pretty much just waiting out for the Leviathan's hands to be, not, what's the word I'm looking for? Not open, I guess. You're basically waiting for the perfect advantage to kind of just jump attack, and yeah, once you get to like the second half, you jump attack. We should have Berserk, I think, which is the R2 circle. And yeah, we have Berserk. Okay, so usually for the first half, I usually just Berserk and just hit, his feet or whatever, dance around, and that kind of fun stuff. But then the second half, you're just kind of waiting for that opening and just going for the head strikes. Berserk does kind of help out big time, though, to make it to where your attacks do a bit more damage, especially when you're attacking an enemy from like the weak point, like the head of like the big boss enemies and what have you. So yeah, I'm trying to think here, because it's been a bit since I've actually done a recording, so I'm kind of a little bit out of touch for hardcore videos. And since this is Wolverine, it's gonna be another hour-and-a-half video, and I have to think of something to kind of go with to talk about. Oh yeah, so I will also be showcasing the Wendigo again, which I think we saw him in the last episode. However, this time I'm just gonna leave it not fast forward, just because of the amount of there's a ton of fights you have to do with him later on in the game, at least in this specific chapter. But after this video, I'm just gonna be fast forwarding through all the big boss fights, and might just even start fast forwarding through a lot of fights here and there. Ones that may, go on for too long or whatever, just because they just, they drag out. And this is the type of game where, like I've said before, that this is the type of game that is much preferred probably to be played than to be watched, especially in such a long capacity that is, like an hour-and-a-half video for just one chapter. And it's going to get even worse when it comes to length in the near future, when those chapters start to get a bit longer. So, like a tad. Most of them usually don't ever really go over 2 hours too much, but there could always be that one that does. And I was actually surprised that this chapter actually wasn't as long as it ended up being. So, yeah. Again, I highly recommend just playing the game, But of course, if you do need help, I have tips and tricks I can give you for certain situations and what have you. But other than that, for the most part, Wolverine is just kind of point A to point B type game anyway. So it's really not super difficult, thankfully. But at the same time, there's going to come a point where, especially in later chapters, where I could definitely see people probably struggling with. So, but we'll get there when we get there. As for right now, when it comes to this fight, there's going to be tons of these guys. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this might be the introduction of the, I don't know what they call them, I forget what they're called, but like that smoke clone type machete guys, where you have to use the vision to kind of find out which one is the real one and the other ones are clones. Which you do get XP from killing them, but it does kind of help to, just go for the main one just to get rid of any other potential dickbags that might show up. Unless you're trying to grind for XP, then that's one thing, I guess. These are the hunters. They're basically just machete guys, but a little bit more tanky. But they're really not that bad at all, especially since the fact that you could just grab them and throw them straight into like a spike or anything like that. And of course, you know, when they get down to like a certain amount of health, then eventually you could do the triangle move and get like an execution kill. However, of course, as stated before in the last video, I don't exactly know how that works, because sometimes I run up and I press triangle and it just doesn't do anything. So I don't know. I assume it's a me problem. It would have to be, but I don't know how to work around that and figure out, you know, the best timing for it, because the game also doesn't really give me enough feedback to know. Well, it gives me enough feedback to let me know that I'm doing it wrong. I can tell you that, because I haven't gotten really much of the execution kills anyway. So I'm definitely doing something wrong. But I don't know. Also, if you happen to hear a fan in the background, there's two things. I have my air conditioning on, and then the second thing is my other computer over here that I have, which is currently right now formatting a USB drive. So, you know, you might hear that make some noise. I don't know. Or it's actually just my computer I'm using right now to, you know, do the commentary for and edit. I just like to keep a couple of computers, you know, one for editing, one for the other one. Just to kind of keep things separate and, you know, make sure one has more priority, I guess. Also, it took me a second to kind of figure out what the puzzle was, because at the time when I did this puzzle, I stopped mainly because I just wanted to explore down here. It wasn't because I realized that the thing was stuck. I didn't realize the thing was stuck. So, yeah, that's how my brain works. I'm like, okay, so this is the puzzle, and this is where I have to go. I'm going to explore first, and then I'm going to do the puzzle. That's typically what it ends up being. I usually try to, like, every time I run into a puzzle room, I usually just try to explore the best I can. Mainly environmental, exploring and making sure that I have a pretty good grasp of, you know, any collectibles in the area. And then while I'm exploring, I could also get a better grasp as well on how the puzzle could work. And then, you know, using feral vision actually helped me figure out, like, oh yeah, that's right, we're supposed to break these boards. And again, keep in mind that it's been years, and I mean years, since I've played this. I think I last played this game maybe like 2015, 2016, possibly. I do not remember. But it was a Christmas present, so, yeah. It was a worthwhile one, too, of course. And funny enough, I remember, just a little, I guess, story about it. I remember playing the demo for this back in the day when it was either coming out or had come out. I don't remember the exact order of time, events, but I did play the demo, and I thought, like, oh my god, this game is so, like, badass. Like, this game is so cool. You know, I should totally get it. But then, of course, at the time, I didn't get it because, I don't know. I don't know why I didn't get it. Could have been a money thing, maybe. I don't know. Possibly. It could be anything, really. Usually, back then, when I was a kid, if I wanted a game, I would wait a while, you know, save up some money, and then eventually go get one. But it was never like, I wouldn't say it was ever, like, completely too difficult to decide a game to get. Usually, I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted in mind, and then I would usually just cut out anything else that just wasn't really too crazy. But then as I got older, I eventually, you know, got a nice enough job to be able to pay for things, you know, when I feel like I want to get a game or whatever. So I'm not trying to brag. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to show off or anything. I'm just telling you guys, you know, how it was then. There was tons of games I wanted, you know, growing up, but that I never got. Like, Prototype was one of them. I remember, you know, being kind of a bit pissed. I was like, oh, I kind of want to play that game. I want to play it so bad. But I had Infamous, so I was pretty much fine with it. And the thing that made me most angry about Prototype was not the fact that I couldn't play it, because it did look cool. And then I played it, and then I didn't really care for it much. You know, that's just the story of my life, I guess. But, yeah, I remember my uncle at the time, who was no longer my uncle because, you know, they got divorced. It was like a step-uncle thing. That was like a long time ago. Anyway, so I remember back then. Also, this fight right here is just more machete guys and Leviathan fight again. So it's the same old, same old. That's just how these videos are going to be. Unless something needs to have some sort of advice, most of this is just going to be a visual representation of, like, what to do, rather than just, you know, me explaining every fight, because let's be honest, every fight is just about the same damn thing. There's going to come a few fights in this chapter specifically that would probably take explaining. But right now, no. So anyway, at the time, my uncle at the time, he was playing Prototype. And I remember, I think I was watching him play it or something like that. I don't remember what it was. And I remember saying that, you know, because at the time, Infamous and Prototype were being compared a lot. And I said, you know, have you played Infamous yet? You know, it's pretty cool. I like it a lot because, you know, it's kind of like Prototype in the way, like, you got its powers and what have you. And he said that he didn't like Infamous because you couldn't use guns. And that moment right there cemented in my brain an absolute fucking hatred for, well, probably not even only just Prototype, but just my uncle at the time in general. I was that much of a cunt. I know, it's weird. It was just like a small little grudge for a while, but it wasn't anything too big. But, you know, it was just one of those, like, kid grudges, I guess you could say, where it's like, you know, how dare you? You know, how dare you make fun of my game? You fucking bloody cunt! You know, like, something like that. It just, it destroyed me. It baffled me. And I remember, like, wasting months thinking about it, like, what the fuck does he mean? Like, the game literally tells you you can't use guns. You know, like, you know, it'll blow up in your hand. I mean, hell, you shoot electric powers out of your fucking hands. Those are basically guns anyway. But as I got older, I kind of understood, like, okay, so I see why, and I understand why Sucker Punch may have made it to where you couldn't use guns, and they had, like, a, you know, an in-game lore excuse as to why, too, so that's smart on them. But at the same time, you know, I completely understand why, because games with guns were a huge craze back then. I don't know how old most of you folks are out there. I assume that most of my demographic is probably at least closer to the 30s, which would not surprise me at all, because that's where I'm at. So I assume most people probably playing games on hard either are relatively older, or we could always have a potential chance that maybe there's a younger audience that's wanting to get into the older games, and maybe you're like me and you're getting kind of sick and tired of these new games and these new AAAs and stuff and just want to go back and find something that's quote-unquote retro to play or even to watch and just see what the hell we fucking boomers had to play back then. So, I don't know. Either way, welcome all, of course. You know, I noticed that Wolverine did pretty okay. Not, you know, the greatest in the world in other aspects, but, you know, people seem to somewhat enjoy it, or at least, you know, maybe consider watching. But I guarantee you, if anything, this fucking video, now that I said it, this video is just going to go right into the trash after this. Like, no one's going to want to watch this one. But who knows? I don't know. That's enough about that. Oh, yeah, the climbing section. I could have sworn that I died here, but I don't think I did. I remember when I was watching the editing, I didn't see that I died. Also, just a quick tip, just because, since you're kind of high up and you have the ability to throw enemies off the cliff, I would suggest maybe taking that as an advantage, because I don't really do it a lot in the beginning parts of this game, because I just am too into the idea of combat, and I just want to try the hack and slash and get a good feel and just enjoy the hacking and slashing, because I know I have a very limited time with the game, considering the fact that, like, it's kind of a roughly short-ish game anyway. So I wanted to kind of get the most out of it, I guess, in the beginning, but then I eventually, as we progress through the game, we get closer to the end chapters, I definitely take leeway in not doing that anymore. I definitely go down the era of just saying fuck that and throwing everything off a cliff because it's faster. So, yeah. Something else, kind of like an older topic I brought up earlier, just to kind of talk about it. The USB drive that I'm formatting was actually my USB drive for my Wii U. And I know. People are going to probably call me stupid for even having one still. I understand. But for me, at the time, it was the only way I could have a lot of these games available. Because, you know, buying Metroid Prime Trilogy would just cost me a fucking arm and a leg to do that. And so it was easier just to have it digitally. And I had it on a USB flash drive because, well, I guess you could say I'm dumb. But basically, long story short, it corrupted because of course it did. And I'm trying to format it right now to see if maybe I can fix it. I didn't realize, because I got really scared, that you can actually just re-download games from the store, even though the store is gone. So for those that have games that you bought in the store, you can still re-download them. Thank God. So, yeah, because it would really, really, really suck ass if I lost all those things that I had acquired on the Virtual Console, especially, you know, right before it went down, because I made sure I bought whatever I could that I felt like I needed to buy to make sure that I could preserve my games, which kind of goes into my other favorite topic of discussion, and that's game preservation, and just how terrible we seem to have game preservation these days. Because, like, the best you could have it is within, like, physically, you know, to have a physical game. But then that also kind of goes into the issue where, you know, that could break. It could physically break in half. It could physically break and you'd be gone. There's no digital backup for it or nothing. So well, sometimes there is, but like a lot of the time with a lot of these physical games, you know, let's just say like a strictly physical game, because like if you're like me and you just don't want to mess with too much stuff, you just want to have your games and that's it. You know, you just want to at least have them somewhere. The chance of them breaking in half is very, very likely, you know, and it happened to me with BioShock, which is my favorite game. And it's unfortunate that my actual original copy broke in half. I still have it because souvenir, well, not souvenir, but just, you know, what's the word? I about said sacrilege. What the fuck is it? I'm thinking of here. It's a game that, you know, I want to keep around as something to remember, of course, and remember, like, oh yeah, you know, that was my original copy of BioShock that I bought back in those days, and I fell in love ever since. But yeah, it's cracked down the middle, and it sucks. But there's the digital side of things, and I even have the remastered version physically, so I can play it that way if need be. But yeah, either side, physical or digital, just it doesn't really seem to matter. They could break at any point, and it just be gone forever. Digital, I think, is a little bit harder for them to disappear completely because a lot of these systems nowadays have like accounts, so you could just get on your old account, re-download your game, and relatively be fine. If, say, like my PS3 or whatever was to just go out and die, then, well, there'd be the chance that I could just say, fuck it, buy another PS3, and then just get on my account, go to the store, and re-download the games. Or, you know, re-download from like my transaction or my download history or whatever, you know, however that's done. But what scares me the most is, you know, even though these storefronts have disappeared, as in terms of like you can't really buy stuff, although for PlayStation you can still buy stuff, you just have to put in money on a different console or on the website, and then you can go buy stuff on the PS3 store. So that's still nice that they kept it. PSP, as far as I'm aware, is gone, which I never ever got on the PSP store to begin with anyway, because... No, I did. How did I play those demos then if I didn't? I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I never bought anything from the PSP store when I had my PSP back then. But yeah, so that's basically completely gone. However, you might be able to still download stuff that you might have bought. I don't know for sure. But you get the idea. So yeah, digital preservation just isn't perfect, but it seems to be a bit better than physical in some cases. And then in some cases, having physical just seems to be better in others, because you could have a situation like I do where you buy a USB instead of an actual hard drive, and then you end up just having the thing get fucking corrupted, because of course it does. So my plan right now is to just say fuck it and buy all the games that I had digitally, and just, you know, one after another over time, just eventually get my hands on those games, as long as they're at least at a decent price, because Paper Mario was one of them, and I'm scared to lose Paper Mario. My parents do have a copy of it, thankfully, that we've had since, but it's one of those things where having my own copy of it would be very nice, an actual physical copy. It would also be nice and save me a lot of trouble if they maybe just reported the fucking thing, instead of making it, you know, online only, for Nintendo Switch online only, I mean, maybe just reporting it to where I could just have an actual, like, I wouldn't say remastered copy, but, just like a collection or something. A physical collection of them on Switch, and then just say, okay, there's that. I don't have to have the original copy of it. I just want a copy of the original game in some way, shape, or form, whether it's remastered or reported. It don't really matter. Also, so these guys right here, this is going to be very elongated fights and very annoying. And I'm going to be using the trees as often as I possibly can. The reason why these fights are just very elongated to begin with is because these dick twits, they have a lot of health. These machine gun guys have a ton of health. And God forbid you're trying to beat this game no damage, which would be impressive, but I don't know if you even could with these fucking gun dudes. I don't know. Machete guys, the updated version of Machete guys are not that bad still. I think they probably have about the same health, if maybe a little bit more. Because as far as I'm aware, I think they are just like maybe possibly a bit more tanky, but I've never really confirmed or denied that, so I'm not really sure. But yeah, you can just see I'm just pretty much at this point just kind of giving up and just saying, screw being fancy. Screw being fancy. I'm just going to go through, chop these guys down, and then just keep going. Do my leap attacks, go for my square attacks, and what have you, and just do that. Now, granted, you could always just grab the enemy, do this, and, I was about to say, grab the enemy, do the triangle one, and that would make it a little bit faster, which it kind of does. So, yeah, that's something to kind of remember to keep in mind that that's something to do. But anyway, yeah, game preservation, man. It just, basically just to end the topic, at least for now, just, I wish it was a bit better. And it's crazy because when you go to, like, and I'm going to sound really, really obnoxious when I say this, but hear me out. Fighting games are also a big thing that needs preservation and sometimes doesn't really get it. However, arcades in Japan, at least, because I don't know about here in America, I don't know if we really have any arcades that really use fighting games. Well, in Japan, there's an arcade that you can go to, and in Akihabara, and it has a lot of fighting games, a lot of older-ish fighting games. It has the original Melty Blood, at least maybe like the current code, I don't remember. But it has that, it has Super Dragon Ball, which I've always wanted to play. And then I played it, and then I just didn't really care too much for it. So that was good, at least I got that in my system. It has, Street Fighter 2, 3, it had 4, 5, and 6. It had Tekken 7. I don't know about the other Tekkens, but I remember this particular arcade I went to had Tekken 7 at least. It had a Akatsuki Blitzkampf of all fucking things. And that's like, wow, that's surprising to see. Yeah, you still gotta pay like 100 yen to, be able to play it, but that's like $1, and those games are preserved. And what's crazy though, we can talk about fighting games because I love fighting games. I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but I love fighting games a lot. So one of the fighting games that seems to still be a very common thing in Japan is Gundam Maxi Boost, right? Let's just call it that because it has I think it's like Gundam Extreme Maxi Boost On. I think that's what it's called, but I just call it Maxi Boost because it's easier that way. I bought it here, digital, so I can try to play it because I got in a bit of a Gundam mood. Gundam Evolution got me in a bit of a Gundam mood. And so, I tried out this game, and it's got pretty much like almost all of the goddamn Gundam series. And the thing is, Maxi Boost hours. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you can parry that right there. And this fight doesn't last very long, just letting you guys know. So, I'm not really going to talk about it much. But, yeah, you can parry those attacks. Those attacks that look like they're foggy or whatever. Yeah, you can parry them. And then enemy is pretty much just done. Well, he'll be done in a second. But yeah, like, you try playing Gundam here, and, like, no one's playing online. Or it's just, maybe you have to play online at certain hours of the day. I don't know. It just feels like the game is dead, right? But then you go there, and everyone's fucking playing it. And it's baffling. Like, there's so many fucking arcade cabinets that are just Gundam Maxi Boost, and it's impressive. And I'm like, looking, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why, they get to play it like every goddamn day, but I'm stuck here, not being able to play it ever again, practically. I know I said I was probably going to stop talking about game preservation, but here's another one that's kind of fun to talk about. Online games. So, back then, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably had the same problem too. And basically, you know, also this part right here, you just pretty much just dodge through all this shit. This part's very annoying, so if you end up getting shot and you get blown up like I do and you're just taking too much damage, just wait it out a little bit longer and then eventually, you know, you should be able to heal just fine. So, there's your tip of the day. Wolverine doesn't really need them, so, you know, it is what it is. If people don't like this video, then people don't like it. That's just how it is. So, yeah. I used to play Uncharted 3 a lot, and I got pretty decent at it, and then they just shut down the fucking servers, and then it's gone. Same thing with Resistance 3. Like, I would love to play with bots. You know, I don't have to play online. It's fine. Just let me play with bots. The whole thing is fucking gone. It's just completely gone. You can't play it online anymore, no matter what. But then you have games like Killzone, which, you know, Killzone 2 and 3, and I think even 1, allow you to play with bots. And, you know, that might not be as exciting, you know, or whatever, but it's the feeling of the multiplayer I still get to play that I want to have. And I think Uncharted 3, you can still, like, locally multiplayer it, but it's not the same. And then, like, Modern Warfare 2 did it, you know, pretty goddamn well. Modern Warfare 2, the original one, I mean, where you can actually just play offline, split screen, have an account, and level up that account. And that was insane back then, and that's still insane now. And I kind of missed that shit. And yeah, Black Ops, you know, Call of Duty Black Ops had combat training, but I kind of got a bit tired of it after a while. But it's still effectively just a bots mode, and it's good to see that. I was kind of hoping for the split screen, you know, where you could fight each other mode, like you could in Modern Warfare 2, but that never came. So anyway, this section, there's plenty of trees, you know, and this is a little fun trick that I start to eventually learn, and I talked about this, I think, in the last episode of this guide, in the last chapter, but it's basically when you knock an enemy in the air, whether it be triangle or just in any form, whatever the case, and then you press circle multiple times. You have to time it a little bit better than just mashing it, but still, if you time it just right, you can basically get to take the enemy and... Sorry, I had to yawn there for a second. You can take the enemy and, you know, slam them back on the ground and then do it multiple times and what have you. So, yeah, pretty fun little trick. And it works great on, like, machete guys. However, like, with machete enemies, they eventually will probably break out of it. So, that's something to kind of keep in mind, is to be kind of wary of. And then, like I also mentioned in the last chapter, something that you can do is when enemies have been killed in, like, spikes and such, you can eventually get to a point where that enemy will despawn from the spike, and then you could basically re-spike another enemy. And that gives you plenty more time to kind of just, you know, waste through these guys. Because if I'm not mistaken, I'm starting to wonder if maybe the game wants you to really utilize both. You know, regular combat and just straight up spike combat. Because it feels like these enemies get way too tanky and just way too common. To the point where I'm just kind of second guessing myself and thinking like, yeah, they probably want you to do that. They probably want you to actually just throw them on stuff and kill them that way. Which would make sense, honestly. But yeah, parries, you know, and then this move right here, especially like on smaller enemies, works great. Granted, if you do that on like the machete guys, then it will eventually just kick them away rather than actually kill them instantly, but still get them away from you. You're gonna hear a couple clicks real quick, but I gotta go check something. I gotta go check a thing or two. Don't mind me. Okay, I didn't think so. Motherfucker. Hang on. Okay. Alright, back to the action. So, now we get to fight the Wendigo again. But this time I think we actually do finish him off. Finish him out. I think so, maybe. I don't know. Yes, looks like it. Okay. And then you get a little small cutscene, and then you skip it, and then he falls off, and he dies. And he's gone forever. We level up. Now we got 4 points. Nice. I also don't end up getting everything leveled up in this game, but something else I mentioned in the last chapter. Also, this one caught me by surprise when I was walking down there. I didn't even realize this happened, so that's why it took me a while to kind of understand what was going on for a second. Yeah, we also got the smash move, which I'm going to try that out in a sec, but which is just jump and hold triangle. Also, the screw attack is pretty decent against like just singular enemies. Not a bad move to have. I should have mentioned that earlier for the fury attack, but I forgot to. But anyway, so I mentioned something in like the earlier chapter. What was it about? Oh, fuck. Oh, right. Upgrades. So, I end up, I think, upgrading all of my attack damage for my claws. I don't end up getting max health. As far as I'm aware, I don't upgrade it, at least, in terms of, like, just the upgrade menu itself. So, I recommend just upgrading your claws and upgrading Berserk the best you can. I wouldn't worry about anything else. Like, everything else is just kind of just whatever you choose. But if you wanted my own recommendation, Berserk mode, like all the upgrades for Berserk, especially damage and health regen, is importante. And then the rest of it, you can do whatever you want. So, if you got the XP to do whatever you want with it, then yeah, go right ahead. This game should also have New Game Plus, so if you really wanted to go get everything in one playthrough, you know, via like New Game Plus and all that, then, well, you have that option to do it, so. God, just think, we're like not even, we're close, but we're almost like to the halfway mark of this video. It's insane. That's just these chapters, man. You know, they're pretty damn long. That's just how they're gonna have, just how it's gonna have to be. I'm just gonna have to get used to it. I ain't got no other choice. And I hate to kind of just say this like halfway through a video that might not really get watched, which I will, of course, give people the game that I'm going to be doing in the next video, or I'm going to be, like I do it all the time, at the end of the guide, I am going to be giving you guys, not necessarily a hint, but just straight up telling you what I do plan on hopefully doing for the next guide, because, admittedly, unlike my main YouTube channel, I don't want hardcoring to end. I kind of want hardcoring to kind of stay alive, just a little bit, you know. I don't mind doing hardcoring, it's kind of fun. It's a lot more interesting than my main channel, because at least this one has just one particular thing I need to do, and I don't need to worry about too much. Yeah, every once in a while I could do like a boss rush video, but it's not like super important, and nothing is on this channel like super important, like has to be done now. It's kind of nice to have a community of people that just are patient enough with you, and they're fine with whatever you kind of upload, which, you know, I don't mind recommendations. I've said this before. I don't mind them. It's just that a lot of games I just might not particularly be interested in wanting to do. And it could be for a lot of reasons. Maybe I just, you know, don't like the franchise, or I'm not good at it, or whatever. I typically try to rely on things that I know more, and every once in a while try to go out of my way to do something. But I do feel bad whenever I'm not able to do a recommended game. I do actually feel bad for it, because it's like, you know, maybe somebody actually does need help, and they, you know, wouldn't mind watching you help them, and then you just basically kind of just be a dick and be like, ah, no, you know, I can't do that game, you know, that's just, I'm not, you know, perfect at it, I'm not good at it, I can't do it, I'm bad. And it's a shitty feeling, but, you know, I gotta do what I gotta do. And I have plenty of games that I am able to do. And plus, you know, if people need help with games, I mean, there's plenty of guides out there. So it's not like I'm the cream of the crop that everyone's going to come to. For me, personally, I kind of just don't mind being like the little, somewhat, you know, this is a weird way to say it, but like maybe like the hidden gem of YouTube, I guess you could call it. I don't know. That sounds really weird to say that, because I don't try to be a narcissist. I don't like that feeling of being a narcissist. It doesn't feel right. Which is probably a good feeling to have, because I know plenty of narcissists, and they're all dicks, because of course they are. But I I don't want to be a narcissist. It feels weird. It feels weird to give myself a higher pedestal than everyone else. Because I feel like the word hidden gem means that you're better than everyone, and that just seems kind of weird. That's not necessarily true, but when I say it to myself, then yeah, it feels like it. But that's the best way I can kind of describe it. Is like, I feel like, you know, when I discover somebody that's small or whatever and actually has decent content, I kind of feel like, you know, I'm like, fuck, man, you know, like, why don't you have more subs? You know, why aren't you more popular or whatever? Like, you make decent, good content, but then, like, no one else seems to want to care, and that's just weird to me. And then, I don't really feel gatekeeping toward YouTube channels, though, but sometimes you gotta get that way. Sometimes it's for the best to have a channel that's not, like, too actively popular, and then, you know, a certain subgenre of viewers, or a certain subsect of viewers might, you know, actually be interested in. Also, that was pretty cool there. Just backclaw his ass and kill him. That was pretty damn dope. And having a small community actually is much better, because it makes things much more organized and easier to kind of just, you know, get people invested in things, and then also, what am I trying to say? I sound like a douche. Every time I open my mouth, I sound like a douche. Like, you guys are all just my pawns. That's what it sounds like. You guys are my pawns in this game. I mean, realistically, it's just more so like I just play a game on hard that I like. And, again, I don't mind recommendations. It's just that there's a lot of time where... There's a lot of them, like, where I'm either planning on possibly doing them in the future, or just at the same time, like, there's some gripes with it, you know? Just because there's some things I just don't really want to play. Like, it might be years from now, you know? Maybe eventually I'll come around, because that tends to kind of happen. But, one of the games that I don't really ever plan on playing, at least ever, or even in the near future. Now, I shouldn't say ever, because that can change. Anything can change, really. Forspoken. I don't know if I really have any interest in that game. It just doesn't look like my type, but then again, I don't know. I could be wrong. You know, maybe I'll find it for like $5 on sale one day, buy it, and then actually enjoy it. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Another game that I don't really plan on playing, but I have no... It's not that I don't have an interest in it, it's just that I feel like it would be too much. Would be, you know, the Harry Potter game. I have no real qualms about it. It looks fine. It's just that it seems like it'd be too fucking big, and I also just have a problem with open world and 60-hour games in general. I think I might have told you guys this before, but I got rid of Jedi Survivor. I bought Jedi Survivor, I think, like, the day after it came out, because I was kind of excited, you know? I was like, this actually might be pretty goddamn good. You know, it might be better than Fallen Order, because at the time I didn't like Fallen Order. Now, I'm not going to try to tell people, like, they shouldn't or should not, you know, like, they should or shouldn't play a game. If you like Star Wars Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, that's on you. I'm not going to try to tell you, like, you're an idiot or something. That's not the case. It's just that for me particularly, I didn't like it. I couldn't get into it. I didn't like it. It wasn't for me. And I'm also just not a guy that's into big 60-hour games very much. And I think that's just kind of becoming bigger nowadays, because I feel like as I get older, I just kind of want to get into the action and not have to wait so long to finally get somewhere with a game, I guess. It depends. It all depends on circumstances. Every game's different, so, you know. Basically, yeah, I mean, I could do Kingdom Hearts. I could do that just fine. 60 hours to 100 hours, pff, nothing. But you get me, like, playing, like, fucking, I don't know, Jedi Fallen Order, and it's like, one playthrough's good enough. I had thought about doing, like, a guide of it, because it did have, like, Master Jedi, for Fallen Order, at least. That was a plan at one point, but then I just was like, ah. Sorry. Damn. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah, it was kind of like a small plan for a bit. Even fucking Force Unleashed was a plan. I was like, I can do that one too. But yeah, I don't know. I played Jedi Survivor and just didn't like it at all. I just was like, I can't do this. This is just not my cup of tea anymore. it's not made for me. This hole is not made for me. And that's just how I feel about a lot of AAA games. I just don't feel like I'm invested in them at all. And I'm actually kind of curious as to your guys' opinions. If you know, if you felt like leaving a comment or whatever, just give me your guys' opinions on like what you think about AAA games. Because personally, for me though, I think they have a place in gaming. Of course, it just really kind of depends. Because I don't know. Like I feel like AAA games nowadays are more stuck in the idea that they need to be either online only, or they need to be like just the most fucking. Saying casual friendly is not probably like the best way to put it, but I don't know. They just seem to try too hard to be focused on making things much more simpler than a lot of games could or have been, I guess. It's really hard to explain that too. But yeah. And granted, you know, there's going to be the games that are going to come out that are going to prove that, like, you know, difficulty is still a thing, and people still want difficult games. And I hate to bring this game up because it's just been such a topic, and we all know it. You know, we've all been there. We've all talked about it. It's the franchise that just never dies. That I like, actually. I like the franchise. It's just that, let's be honest, it is a bit overrated, and it gets brought up in almost every topic of conversation when it comes to RPGs and when it comes to hack and slashes. And that's, of course, the Souls series. And that's the ever so forbidden taboo word, you know, when you're talking about hack and slash or even hard games. That's like the biggest taboo because people have just, you know, they bring it up in every fucking topic all the time, but it's basically just diluted the topic in general at this point. And I think it's fair to talk about it now. But I wouldn't mind doing Souls on this channel, for those that are wondering. I have thought about an idea, but it would take some time to do it. It's less of a guide idea and more so like a adventure idea where, just to kind of spoil it, like I make a character and that character continues through Demon Souls and Dark Souls and what have you, and continues throughout these different games and goes to these different worlds and tells it like a story, I guess, like it's an adventure. Like, because to me, you know, one of the best parts about the Souls franchise is like the lore behind it. And I've heard people say like they don't like that aspect, and that's fine. You know, I completely understand that since it's not in your face or it's not so much readily available a lot of the time, that some people might not be invested in the story and the idea of having to find lore or whatever. And by the way, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm just saying like there are some games that are quite in your face about story, and some people like that. So, you know, it can happen. I'm just saying like, in general, like stories that, you know, are right there in the open for people to kind of discover. A lot of people, you know, might like that more. But for me, I don't mind the idea of the hidden aspect of it. It kind of makes it more interesting and something to kind of theory talk about, you know. I like that aspect. But, yeah, Elden Ring came out, and that, of course, created a massive turn for a bit for gaming there for a second. And a lot of Western devs were very upset that, you know, a Japanese game was doing better than theirs. So that was a thing. Oh, sorry. I got, like, hiccups, and I'm coughing all over the place, and I'm just basically like a diseased, frantic asshole over here. And I apologize, again, but doing commentary for more than, like, an hour kind of kills you a bit. It's only been, like, half an hour, if even that. So anyway, again, next up we're finding Wendigo once again. I thought there was 2 of them here, but I guess there's only just the 1. And it's essentially just the same thing as it always is. These guys are a bit easier to take down than, say, the Leviathans. Only because of the fact that, like, you can pretty much just parry a lot of their attacks. And if you're lucky like me, you know, they can get stuck on a forklift and then just get, well, attacked. And usually every opportunity that you have to go for either just basic strikes with Berserk on, or at the very least, if you're able to, go for those leap attacks, then go for them. Somehow I got really lucky there. I don't know what the hell was up with that. Don't know how I landed that leap, but I'll take it. yeah, I don't know how this guy got stuck back here. It might not happen for you, so, just kind of follow along the best you can. Because essentially what you're pretty much just trying to bait out is just bait out slams and stuff. So once he does like a slam thing, you just kind of dodge out of the way, let him chase you down, dodge out of the way. And then you either just leap on top of their backs, or you just hit them from the front, or whatever. Or the back, you basic attack them or something. And again, you can parry those specific attacks that do show up. That, we've shown before. And with Wendigos, you have more time to stay on their back than you do with Leviathans, which is nice. But yeah, that attack right there can be parried, so just bear that in mind. It helps out to know that. It really does. So, yep. That's it for that. Now we're going to go and make our way through, go get some C4, I think, and then start doing some platform sections and what have you. So, fun. But anyway, yeah, so the Souls series, it's a very big, I wouldn't say it's taboo, but, a lot of people kind of consider it like the forbidden word, which is kind of funny because what I think is hilarious about the Souls situation was, just to kind of give some context, so when Crash got remastered, and Crash is a very somewhat difficult platformer. I wouldn't say it's like the hardest thing ever, but, it's definitely got some challenge to it. And anything with any minute bit of challenge to it will obviously be compared to something that is difficult, that we're kind of used to already. And what's funny is at the time, for those that might not have known, it got compared to Dark Souls a lot. It got said that it was like the Dark Souls of platformers. It got, and there was tons of games like that too. Also, I just realized there's an upgrade down there that I just missed. It's fine. Maybe I get it. I don't remember, but whatever. It's all right. So anyway, it got like tons of things got compared to Dark Souls, even though the comparison is just the fact that both games are challenging in some regard or whatever. And I feel like a lot of people that, actually enjoy games that are challenging, i.e. myself, were a little bit upset when everything got compared to Dark Souls, because Souls is a different type of challenge. It's not the same. Not everything's the same type of challenge. And it just seems like such a blanket statement to make. It's just such a I don't know how to put it, but like it's a weird statement to make when you're talking about Souls, comparing Souls games to hard games. They're not really the same a lot of the time. Yeah, challenge is, a thing, but like I said, that's just a blanket term, practically, in a way, because anything can be challenging, really. So it's weird, But what I find funny is we've stopped comparing everything to Dark Souls. And the reason why, and I've been seeing it lately pop up a little bit more, and I've noticed it too, and I'm like, oh, they're doing it again. They're now comparing everything to Elden Ring. Because now that Elden Ring is like the new big, cool game that everyone and their mom has played, and it has any remote sense of challenge whatsoever, it's all of a sudden the new Dark Souls, which, yes, it pretty much is made by the same company. It does play about the same way that Dark Souls games do. But now it's the new contender. And, Sekiro came out and Bloodborne came out, but nobody really compared Bloodborne and Sekiro to like, oh, this is, well, yeah, Jedi Fallen Order is a bit like Sekiro, yeah. But not everything, that was challenging was compared to that. Also, this segment's pretty damn easy. You just kind of just go through these cover. You don't have to actually hide behind a cover. You can just do what I do, where you just dash and then roll, and then you just make it and you'll be fine. So, yeah. Elden Ring is now the big thing, which is funny. Because like I said, Bloodborne and Sekiro didn't get that much in terms of comparisons that often. As much as like Dark Souls, like everything just got called like, oh, it's the Dark Souls of platformers or whatever. But now we have Elden Ring, which is, starting to say like, oh, this game is like Elden Ring. It's really hard. And again, like I said, that's such a dumb statement. I hate it, but it's just the way we're going. People got to have something to compare it to, I guess. I don't see anybody coming out here saying like, fucking, man, Elden Ring is kind of hard. It's just like X-Men Origins Wolverine, on hard when I played that. Oh, fucking Crash Bandicoot is the X-Men Origins Wolverine on hard of like platformers and shit. Like that's not gonna happen. That would be funny. That would be honestly genuinely funny if people started doing that, but yeah, I don't see that happening. But you get the idea. So yeah, Elden Ring is becoming like the big thing. And that's just how it's gonna be, You're gonna get the next really hard franchise to come out, and people are gonna compare that. Now, granted, Armored Core 6 came out, and I would love to play it. I would love to play Armored Core. I've never played them before, so yeah, it's new to me. Yeah, it would be kind of neat to be able to play, the originals and then make my way up. But it seems like that's kind of hard. Not because of gatekeeping or whatever, which I assume is there, which I don't blame them. But at the same time, I think it's probably because those games seem to be difficult to get your hands on anyway. Whether they be, extremely expensive or just not available, which sucks. And yeah, that's what happens when you get into a franchise late. But game companies don't really care. Devs don't really care if you play like the newest one or not. Well, they care in the idea that they want to make a sale, because of course they do. I'm just saying, like, they probably don't care that much if you play the originals or not. Some might, if I was a dev, I probably would have been like, I could have preferred if you guys would play my original games first. But, if you don't, you don't. Which reminds me, shout out to another game, just because I really enjoyed the game and I really enjoyed the dev. And I think the dev is a really cool person, and I really hope, I wish them the best in terms of, getting more audience. And maybe I could turn over a couple of audience members, but there's a game on Steam. It's a shooter game, and it's kind of like a roguelite. It's a roguelite, where the only thing that's random is the amount of stuff you can get for your weapons and such. So there's this game I played, and I kind of want to play a bit recently, actually, because it's just a fun little short, fast game you could beat in like an hour, but it's the randomness that you can redo over and over again that makes it fun. It's called Hazama Queen. So Hazama Queen. And it's like a couple bucks on Steam. It's a fun little like run and gun roguelite. And I just want to shout it out because I don't know, I loved it so much. I just want to keep talking about it. I know it's been months since I played it, or at least a month or two since I played it, but it just sticks in the back of your mind, and you're like, oh fuck, I gotta let people know, like, this is a really cool game. And I think they just recently got like 1,000 downloads, maybe more than that, I don't know. There was a specific goal of like 1,000 something, I forget exactly what it was, but they hit it. The dev hit it, and it's pretty damn cool. And I kind of want to see the dev get more recognition for their hard work. Yeah, it's a simple game. It looks very simple on the outside, but I guarantee you it's a pretty good amount of fun. If you're looking for like a couple of bucks to kind of spend on something on Steam, I'd recommend it. I would recommend it, especially if you like shooters, and I do. So, and the way that it kind of works as a roguelite is you just going through levels as fast as you can, but the weapons and the upgrades that you get at the end of a level that you can pick from are in terms of cards. You can pick from them, and they random pretty much every playthrough, so you just kind of figure out which ones you want. There's even one where you can actually pick 4 cards throughout the entire playthrough and just play with those. So really cool shit, and I have thought about doing a guide of it, as in like a run more so than like a guide. Maybe might even do a boss rush of it, I don't know. But the thing is, because of the way that it works as a game, oh, that reminds me, I was going to talk about whatever game I wanted to do next. I can't believe I got way off topic. Just to kind of just throw that out there real quick, Dead Space 2 is it's considered. Deadpool as well. Deadpool and Dead Space 2 are considered my next possible 2 guides. So, there you go. But anyway, Hazama Queen, I wouldn't mind doing a playthrough of it on this channel at some point. I just don't know how to do it because it's it's a random game, so I don't know if I want to do it like, okay, so here's my run with this weapon, or this is what I recommend running with this weapon, or yada yada yada, blah blah blah. I don't know yet, because it's such a strange way of doing things. So I'll figure it out. I might do it. Anyway, this part is a bit challenging, only the fact that like you do take a bit of damage, especially if you get hit by a rocket. So the whole idea is just to kind of dodge out of the way of the bullets, and then once those are done, you know, they're going to launch a rocket at you, a missile at you, and then you're just going to parry it, and make sure your parry timing is pretty decent, because you don't want to eat shit from a rocket in this fight, because that happens, and that sucks. And then you got to do the whole damn thing over again, and that's just not fun. So, yeah. Just, like I said, you know, parry the missile back, and yada, yada, yada. Blah, blah, blah. Relatively simple, easy, simple and clean fight. Nothing too bad. Just very, very long fight, though. That's, I think, the part that kind of pisses me off the most, is just how long of a fucking fight it takes to do this. This should be the last shot. I think it's like 5 or 6. 5 or 6 different missiles should be enough. Well, we'll see, I guess. Okay, I guess there's way more than just that. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we're on a helicopter landing pad, but I'm getting flashbacks from Sundowner from Metal Gear Rising. I'm getting flashbacks to this fight. I also get flashbacks to True Crime, LA. Because I think there's a place where you go where you fight on a helicopter landing pad area. I don't remember. It's been so long since I've gotten anywhere a decent amount of progress in that game at all. I've never even beaten it before. I've never beaten it. And hell, I remember for the longest time, I didn't even know there even was a sequel. Because, like, Snoop Dogg, I think, was the actual main character of the sequel, possibly. I have to go, you know, do some research and find that out. Also, look right there. I tried to stealth kill the guy, and the game just said, nope, not today. So, I don't know how stealth works at all. But, yeah, I do remember in the first True Crime game, you could actually unlock Snoop Dogg. Also, just forget about the PS3 controller, but hey, at least you can see it. I'm authentically playing Wolverine on a PS3 controller. Which, that was a whole debacle, I should say, too. PS3 controller shit? Ah, man. Because at one point, I wanted to get me a DualShock. I don't know why. I have no idea why I wanted to get a DualShock. Technically, it was, like, in the off chance that, oh, well, maybe I might get No More Heroes. But then I never did. So, I thought I'd get No More Heroes on PS3, but I never did. Because I know I had, like, new content or whatever. So, that never happened. And then the fucking thing broke. Or, it wasn't broken. It was just really squeaky. That's what it was. But then I broke it because I took it apart. Like, I had trouble putting it back together. But, whatever the case. So. I don't even know if that's even... Hold on. I'm going to look something up, actually, because I'm curious. But anyway, so, PS3 controller broke. Because I was trying to, like, fix the analog. Because I'm not a fucking genius. I don't know what I'm doing at the time. You know, I tried, like, air blasting it and stuff and see if I can try to get inside and just do that. But then I fucked up everything. So, my thing is, give me 1 sec. I'm trying to think here. Yeah, so it just had like a squeaky analog stick. I didn't like it. And then I just said, fuck it. And I just bought a 6-axis, and it came in, and that's what I'm using to play on it. I think it's a 6-axis. Yeah. Which, having a 6-axis is good, because I have a copy of Folklore. If anybody remembers that game at all, it was a fun little sort of action RPG back then that required the 6-axis, and it's fucking hell that it needs it, but, you know, it is a thing that, basically, yeah. So, it needs a 6-axis controller to even play it at all. Let's see. Let's do some research here for a second. What part is this? Oh yeah, I remember. I died here a lot, actually. Which, come to think of it, where the fuck is the part where we do the entire fight with the sniper guy? Should be coming up later. So this fight that's gonna be coming up next is going to have a fight with 2 Wendigos at once, and I will show you what I do in a high-stress situation such as that, which is basically just getting fucked in the ass and double-teamed by 2 Wendigos because this game hates you. Well, actually, in this case, it more so hates me. But the game will probably hate you when you get here. I died, I think, 3 or 4 times, and that sucked. But anyway, first guy pops out, and I just go straight for him at this point because I'm just tired of this shit. If they spark like that, they're going to slam the ground twice. That's just how that works. This environment is not the best for these guys in particular, but if you do take a lot of damage, just run away. There's no pride here. Just run. If you're starting to die, it's best just to run, because these guys cannot really catch up that fast. And again, these attacks right here can be parried, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to single out whichever one I can. Also, the screw attack works wonders against getting them kind of off your back. It stuns them for just a second so that you can escape if need be. If you need to escape, use the screw attack to get out. However, the thing that makes this fight even more ridiculously hard, which is not completely hard, but just annoying, if you're trying to attack them on their back, if you're trying to stab them in the back, that's not going to work the best way because of the fact that if you're on one of their backs, the other one can knock you off. And so instead of just trying to, do the back attack stuff, I would recommend, if you didn't use a screw attack to break out, I'd recommend just going for Berserk and just lighten them up with Berserk attacks and then getting as much damage as you possibly can. Hopefully trying to maybe knock one of them down to like half health or something. And then eventually, once Berserk wears off, proceed to just run away, attack, run away, attack. Sorry about that mic mute, but I had to sneeze. So, anyway. Yeah, basically, it's all about pretty much just running away and getting off a few pop shots. It might sound kind of douchey, or it might sound kind of like a bit of a pussy move, but for me, this was the most effective way of doing things. Going for that parry is not really going to be very essential, at least until you get one of them dead, because again, like I said, if you're relying on jumping on top of their backs to go for back attacks, you're just going to get knocked off eventually, and it's just not going to be very fun. And if you need a place to hide, I'd say the area, like where you kind of came from, should be enough to kind of get you away for just a little bit. Basically behind that truck. If you hide up on top of the truck or behind the truck, they should have a harder time trying to hit you. They could probably take like a swing or two at you. But for the most part, if you just know how to dodge and you understand the timing of these fights, then everything's fine. And look, I'm taking so much damage. I'm just, I'm eating ass, but not in the good way either. I'm just eating tons of ass here and not enjoying it, and this is just killing me. But yet I still somehow survived because I just decided to say, you know what, fuck it. It's fine. If I just run away and just keep to myself, whenever I get the chance, and then run back and go for a kill, or go for some attacks, everything should be fine. So, that's how I do it. That's how I handle the situation. And there you go. That's both of them down. Also, I do recommend keeping on the healing factor mutagen for that fight. I forgot to explain that too. But keep on the healing factor mutagen, because that way you can get your health back faster, and to basically save yourself the trouble from getting eaten alive by those, nincompoops, I guess you could say. All right, onward and outward. This area reminds me of I think it's one of the Shadow Warriors. I think it's Shadow Warrior 2, the reboot one. Also, don't expect me to probably ever do Shadow Warriors. Mainly because I like the first reboot one, but then after that, I just do not like 2, and I just don't really care much for 3. But like I said, I do like 1, but yeah, it's also pretty damn hard. But then again, I'm hardcoring. I beat Vanquish. I mean, why not just fucking try it, I guess? I don't know. Fuck. We'll see. We'll see what the future holds. So yeah, for these cocksuckers, throwing them on the ground and going for the the pounding stab attacks, that's one way to do it. But grabbing them and pressing triangle, if you can get your hands to grab them, if you can get your hands on them, then pressing circle and then going for the triangle should be enough. Did I really miss a dog tag? Are you fucking kidding me? It was right there, and I saw it too. You've got to be shitting me. There was a dog tag there the entire time. I missed so much shit and didn't even realize. Well, I was kind of too busy just, trying to keep up with playing the game. Sorry about my squeaky fucking chair. Alright, it's going to squeak in a second. I'm going to try to mitigate it, but it's not going to help. Alright, there we go. I like to lay back when I watch these videos. Also, this might sound stupid. I don't know what Easter egg this is for. I'm not sure. I assume it's a game Easter egg. I thought maybe Zelda, but I don't know. Probably not. And I'm having a hard time trying to figure out what that Easter egg is. I'm going to look it up. Watch, I'm going to go find out and be like, oh. That's what it's for. Hope you don't hear my phone. I don't know why it makes that noise. Frostmourne? Wait, what? Hold on. You can take Sabretooth and you can throw him into the jukebox and actually play Devil May Cry 3 opening. What? Oh, it's from World of Warcraft. Oh.
Hey Logan, it's Nord.
Huh.
To see. Got you right in my crosshairs.
I guess there's a port. Oh, yeah, so this part. The sniper part. So basically, I should be paying attention. So this part's a bit more annoying. What you want to wait for, when the time to dodge is basically like a second after you see that red reticle right there. You see that red reticle, then you dodge. However, I get to a point where these enemies are just hidden behind the trees and I can't attack them anymore. So I don't remember if you're supposed to completely kill everyone or if this is one of those ones where you just have to dodge. I just take my leave. I just say fuck it. But yeah, make sure you dodge at the right time. You want to dodge like pretty much a second after the reticle glows red. That's when you want to kind of wait for it to happen. Then, of course, I re-equip Healing Factor to kind of make myself heal just a bit faster. Because this fight is very, very obnoxious, and I died plenty of times doing it. You can kind of hide behind certain things. Certain objects can protect you, but it's not always 100% with that. I feel like sometimes I've gotten hit even hiding behind certain things, so I don't rely on it too much. I just more so rely on just the idea that, I should dodge at the right time and just not deal with it. But yeah, that guy is way too far in the back and I can't get to him, so not sure if the game's broken or what. Yeah, I'm not sure if the game's broken or what, but yeah, it don't really matter. So basically, I just get near the ladder as fast as I can, because I'm just going to say, fuck it, I'm going to take my leave. And, just proper your timing here, and then just make your way up. It should only take, like, at least a couple of jumps to get up there. And just wait for him to get, done shooting, and then you can just escape. So, there we go. That part is very, very obnoxious. But like I said, just that second you need to dodge, it's like right before he attacks. So once it glows red, wait like a split second and then dodge. That's the best timing I can give you for that. It's just all timing based. And then for the enemies, just hit him a few times. And they should die pretty fast. Also, in that fight, in that sniper fight, if you throw a guy, sometimes the sniper will actually, try to pinpoint him instead. It's happened often enough to where I could probably just say, like, try it out and see if it works for you, because I'm not exactly sure if it's a thing that's supposed to work, But that's just how the game seems to be normally, is sometimes things happen and they work, or they don't. I don't know. The game kind of decides a lot of that. Not that the game's completely broken, by the way. I don't think that it is. It's fairly well polished. I mean, maybe it had to be patched a few times. I don't know, but it's fairly a decent working game for what it is. It's just sometimes there's instances where things aren't just obvious enough for a dumb brain like me to figure out, I guess. But yeah, plenty of trees out here to kind of, latch on, enemies to and what have you. Machete guys appear. I'd recommend just throwing them on spikes and not dealing with them. The gun guys are not that bad because they're a bit more tanky, but they're a lot more tanky than the last dudes. But even then, still, it's not that bad. But yeah, here's the quote-unquote infinite attack, even though it's not really an infinite, because eventually with the machete guys, they're gonna break out of your grasp. Well, Wolverine's gonna throw them, but either way, nice move to use. I am so sorry. It's just when you watch the same gameplay for hours on end. Oh man, it's a bit tiring. Like trying to be consistently, keep a consistency with the commentary and stuff. It's kind of hard. Just gotta find something else to talk about at this point. I've already bitched about modern games, again, like I always do. I have bitched about, I don't know, lots of other stuff. I also bought a new mouse pad recently, because I needed one bad. That's something else. Yeah, I bought one of those mouse pads. You know the ones. If you guys are anything like me, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Those ones that are good for your wrist, where you put your wrist kind of like between nice, soft, cushiony assets, I guess you could say. I bought a couple of mouse pads. I bought one that's a little bit more dirty in terms of design, because yeah, and there's another one that is coming out that I wouldn't mind actually having, but I have to see what it looks like first. Well, I mean, I know what it looks like, but there's like a part of it that's censored. So I kind of want to see what that looks like before I decide to get it. You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see. So I did actually die here because I didn't realize the water would actually kill you. So that was my fault. And at the time, while climbing, I didn't realize that you actually had to bust the pipes yourself. I don't know why I didn't think that. Even though the game told me that I could do that. But yet I didn't. Also, I went to open that door because, well, I see a door and I think, oh, we gotta kick it open. And then I played a lot of Ninja Gaiden, so I kind of think, if an object glows, it probably means it could be opened. At least I think Ninja Gaiden did that. I could be wrong. Speaking of Ninja Gaiden, I don't know if it'll ever happen, but since I actually have the originals of, well, not just, well, the NES ones, I have like, I think I own the first two. Yeah. Anyway, so I have Ninja Gaiden Black. I do have Vanilla Ninja Gaiden for, the reboot series, but it does not work on Xbox Combat. So, yeah. But Black, I do have Black. And I have considered, if I ever do, like, finish my playthrough of it and actually unlock Master Ninja, maybe we might do that one day. That'd be kind of a cool thing to look forward to. That's a huge maybe. That's not like a inevitable possibility. I've already done Sigmas, so if you want to see me do Ninja Gaiden, there you go. I've done Sigmas. But I wouldn't completely put it off the table. Let's just say that. It's kind of, over there in the corner, just staring blankly. I was going to make a very bad joke, but I probably shouldn't if I want to keep my channel and my professionalism. It's not a hugely bad joke, but I don't know. You never know these days how offensive something could possibly be, even when it's just a joke. whatever you're thinking it might be is probably way more worse than what I'm thinking of. Oh, man. Alright. Sniper time. Once again, you're basically just getting your way through this. Just kind of wait for him to go past and then just dodge from left to right. That kind of thing. If you need to heal, heal. It's relatively self-explanatory, kind of, you know. It's not too bad. Because he really doesn't have much time to hit you with a shot anyway. But then you have assholes like this that just shoot you from a distance that suck. So yeah, I also have like Ninja Gaiden 2 original as well. And that would also be kind of a fun one to probably do. But I'd have to get back in the mood for it. And then I recently took back my copy of Ninja Gaiden 3 because I gave it to my cousin a long time ago. And I bought Razor's Edge. And I gave it to my cousin, and he eventually gave it to my brother. And then I gave my brother a game. I forgot what it was. I gave him something. I gave him like a stack of games, I think it was. I gave him like a couple Pokemon games that I had. And he's like, "You want a game in return?" And then I'm like, "Oh, yeah, DK64. And he's like, "Nope." And then I'm like, "Wait a minute. Ninja Gaiden 3? That's my fucking copy." And then I'm like, "I'll just take that one back then, because God knows you wouldn't want to fucking play that shit." And then I took it back, and I have it now. And I regret every decision I've ever made in my life because of it. No, but maybe, you know, maybe there might come a day where I might do Ninja Gaiden 3 vanilla. I don't know. Basically, the vanilla games I might do, except for Ninja Gaiden Black. That'd be the only one that's not vanilla. Will I ever do Ninja Gaiden Yaiba? I don't know, because, sorry, that game has a lot of issues. I have a lot of issues with that game. I think that it can be fun on a normal playthrough, but it also has a lot of bugs that just kind of ruin. That kind of ruined the experience just a little bit. Other games I've considered, but we'll have to wait for them to come out to begin with, is Lollipop Chainsaw remake or reboot or whatever the fuck it's gonna be. I think it's a remake. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Yeah, I had a hard time doing commentary of it to begin with, because much like Wolverine, it's just kind of like a bit more repetitive. But at least with Lollipop Chainsaw, it does allow for a little bit more experimentation than Wolverine, because Wolverine doesn't really have much. Not that it's a bad game. I have to keep saying that, but it's not a bad game, I promise. There's just not a lot of crazy situations, I guess. Much so like the other game, Lollipop Chainsaw. They're just two different games anyway, so it's kind of hard to compare them, besides the fact that they're hack and slashes. So this next fight, let me go ahead and preemptively say this. Well, that's something I want to say for sure. But make sure, unless you're confident in your skills, there are 4 Wendigos in this fight. So make sure you either don't fight all of them at once, or if you're confident, you could try to take them all at once. Do not break those containers over there. Keep him away from the containers as much as you can. I don't think he can do it himself, the Wendigo. I don't think he can break them. But just keep him away. Also, I think the Wendigos in this fight have less health. I think they die a lot faster, if I'm not mistaken. At least it kind of looks like they do. So, something to kind of keep in mind is they do die faster. If you want to fight 2 at a time, that's fine. If you want to fight 3 at a time, that's fine. If you want to fight 1 at a time, that's fine. But do bear in mind that you can fight 1 at a time if you wish, which we're basically going to do, and that's going to be the rest of the video practically. It's just me fighting 1 at a time, going in berserk mode, and we got 1 kill, which is good. And these little generators right here, they're kind of hard to see, but those black objects that we were just near, on both sides, there's like 3 of them. There's 1 right there, up here, and there's like a couple down there. If you get these guys to chase you, or at the very least run close to you, this can happen. It stuns them for just a bit of time, and it's just enough time to probably get a few berserk shots in. Don't worry about the helicopter guy. He's not a big deal. if the helicopter guy's getting a bit annoying, then just leap onto one of the Wendigos' backs and just attack them from behind and try to, you know, get away from the bullets, basically. So, yeah, every time that you get Berserk, I would recommend using it. You get enough rage to go Berserk, I would recommend using it. And try not to use it while they're, you know... Oh, I thought my mic was muted for a second there again. No, it's fine. It's just I'm seeing things. Okay. Scared the shit out of me. Alright, anyway. So, yeah, use Berserk, you know, while they're spawning up so you don't have to waste time. But, try not to use it, you know, before they spawn. You want to get as much time out of the Berserk as you possibly can. Granted, every time you kill one of these guys and another guy spawns, you basically get rage orbs kind of back anyway. Some rage orbs back, so... At least I think it's when you kill the enemies. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, keep in mind that, you know, you can fight all four at a time. You can fight as many as you want at a time if you want. You just got to break these containers to do it. And you also have those generators that you can use to stun these guys, and Berserk works wonders, as you can no doubt tell. Because we're doing actually quite a bit of damage. And I think it's just because, like, they've probably weakened them just a tad, only to make it more of a fair fight, because there would be a lot of enemies to fight, and it's going to take a while to go through each one of them. But if they had them at normal health, it would take a lot longer to go through. And I assume the devs probably made it to where you could do that. Also, don't mind me. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. So, just, you know, don't worry about that too much. So this right here, of course, it just says, you know, press attack, dodge whenever he's about to shoot you. However, the dodging is kind of strange, because sometimes you feel like you should dodge, but then you don't need to. And sometimes you feel like you tried to dodge, but then you get shot anyway, and it's just, I don't know. Health doesn't really matter here. Getting shot doesn't matter, because, let's be honest, it's not going to take that long to break it down. Hard mode is very generous when it comes to situations like this, so I'm not too worried about it. After that, you're going to want to fly toward the nearest helicopter. And the Wolverine is just going to basically do most of it himself. I think, yeah, this one I think we have to attack it. I think we have to attack it ourselves. But these guys can't hit you for shit. I don't know why. They just suck. They can't hit you. So just keep mashing square. Eventually that one goes down. And then we have our next one. I think we have like one or two more. These helicopters to go. Somehow he fucking Spider-Mans it and just swings right around. I don't know. It's whatever. This one's a little bit weird and irritating because it's a lot harder to kind of pull off. But you have to tap it really fast. You have to mash really fast for this one to actually work. So just, you know, dodge, wait for him to shoot, dodge, and then just start mashing the hell out of square, and he shouldn't be able to do anything after that. So yeah, dodge right there and just mash the shit out of square. He shouldn't be able to do anything, but I guess he probably can still. I don't know. Anyway, I gotta take a break after this, commentary-wise, because Jesus Christ. But anyway, that's Chapter 2. See you for Chapter 3. So, take care, everybody.